In this video, I'm going to show you the ultimate scalp and trading strategy that gets an amazing win rate. Not only is it profitable, but it's also really easy to use. Again, nothing in this video is financial advice. It's all for informational purposes. So let's get into it. So you're going to go into tradingview.com. For this scalp and trading strategy, 3 different indicators are used, and they're all free. So you can use these indicators during your trading with ease. So this is what your chart's going to look like when we are done with setting up the indicators. Let's go ahead and cross out all of these so I can show you guys how to set up these indicators. And one more thing, we are using 5-minute charts and regular candles in this video. So to add the first indicator, click here on indicators. Our first indicator is going to be UT bot alerts. This one right here, by Quaint Nomad, we're going to add that and make some changes to this. So to change the settings for this indicator, we're going to click on the settings icon right here. Then we're going to change the key value from 1 to 2. And in a TR period, instead of 10, we're going to use 6. Click OK, and changes for this indicator are done. The next indicator we're going to add is the STC. This one, the STC indicator, a better MACD by Shine KM. We're going to add that one and make some changes to this as well. So the STC is going to be right below here. Click on settings. Here, we're going to make the length 80 and fast length 27. And then we're going to make some changes in the styles too. So here we're going to make these plot lines more prominent by choosing some prominent colors. And we're also going to make it very solid so it's easier to see. And then we're going to make the second plot line purple and move the opacity to 100, so it's like a solid line. Click OK. Now that you've got these 2 indicators set, the third and last indicator we're going to add to this is for confirmation, the whole suite by In Silico, this one right here. And we're going to leave this as it is. Now that we have all of these indicators set up, we'll look at what this strategy is and how we're going to execute it. First of all, we're going to talk about long trade. So for long positions, there are going to be 3 rules we need to follow. Number 1, you need to have a new buy signal, like right here. The next thing you need is the STC to be below the white line and pointing up. So as you see over here, there's this white line, and the STC is below the white line and it's green. But to clearly see if the STC line is pointing up or not, you can have a look at these numbers right here. When it's pointing up, those numbers are going to be going up. So you see how that went from 0 to a 0.78. So from these values, we know that STC is pointing up. It's important to check through these values because sometimes leveling is so small that it's hard to tell if it's pointing up or not. So always double check with those numbers. After that, the last confirmation that we need to get for a long position is whole suite needs to be green. Alright, so as you can see right here, you get a new buy signal, and it just turned green. But this is going to be the initial candle where you get the trade, right? But you're not going to get in at this, because if the candle changes, the buy signal is going to go away. You always want to wait for the candle to close. So this is going to be the trigger candle, and this is where you're going to get into the trade. So after you get a buy signal, you will tick mark all the rules for a long position. As you can see, the STC line is green, below the white line, and pointing up, which is evident by these numbers here. And you can kind of see the slope a little bit, so that's going up. And the whole suite is green. So after this, I'm going to take a long position and get in at the beginning of the next candle, which would be right here. And for the stop loss, I like to put right below the recent swing low for long trades. And I like to go for 1 to 1.5 risk to reward ratio. So it would have hit take profit right around there. Right, so those are the criteria and the things that you need for a long position. We're going to look into another example later in the video so that you guys can get a better understanding of this strategy. Now let's take a look at a short trade. Alright. So here's a great example of a short trade. Now let's take a look at the rules for the short trade. Number 1, you need to have a sell signal like this. Number 2, STC should be red, above the purple line, and should be pointing down. Number 3, whole sweet should also be red. So for instance, here you get a new sell signal. Whole sweet is also red, and it's pointing down, as you can see here. The last one was 89.68, then 87.89, and then the next candle where you'd get in again, it's 985.91. So it is trending down. Again, this will be our trigger candle, and this will be our entry candle. Here we'll do a short trade. I'll take a short position and get in right at the end of the trigger candle and right above the last swing high as the stop loss, keeping risk to reward 1 to 1.5. It would have hit take profit right there. And this is why you know some of these confirmations are super important, because if you think about it, here's a buy signal. This would have been a false signal. You wouldn't have got into this because in long trades, the STC needs to be below the white line. So we wouldn't have taken this trade because this would have been a false signal, and wouldn't have gotten in because it did not meet all of our trade criteria. So you would have been disciplined when trading because things will come up where it looks like it's a good opportunity, but you know when you stick to the rules, your chances of profit are much higher. Now let's take a look at another example of a long trade. Here's another example of a long trade. We see that we have a green buy signal over here. The STC line is below the white line. It's green and going upwards. Next, we see that whole sweet is also green, so we can do a long trade over here. I'll take a long position and put it right at the beginning of our entry candle, which is the next candle to our trigger candle. Again, for long trades, I keep the stop loss at the recent swing low and keeping the risk to reward ratio from 1 to 1.5. It would hit take profit right there. Now let's take a look at another example of a short trade. So here's an example of a short trade. Again, we're going to follow the rules for a short trade. We see here we have a red sell signal. STC is above the purple line, red, and going down. With all this, the whole sweet is also red. I'll take a short position and put it right there at the beginning of our entry candle. Again, for short trades, I keep the stop loss at the recent swing high and keep the risk to reward ratio from 1 to 1.5. It would hit take profit right there. So this is a super simple and cool strategy that can surely help you, but please back test it yourself. For more interesting strategies like this, make sure to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you on the next one.